Arizona. And you've been in Arizona and played in Arizona. What are the challenges, first, of him going home to play, and second, of playing in that heat?
Oh, we talked about it, earlier this week. Obviously it's a big homecoming for him, but try not to make too much of it, with a lot of family and friends at the game, and just be yourself and really be you throughout the game.
What about from the desert heat? That presents challenges for players, doesn't it?
Obviously it's a challenge. It's just a different weather environment than we're used to, obviously with humidity here, but you don't get the 100-degree temperature. So, we've got to take care of ourselves. Really, this is the emphasis this week as far as hydration and just taking care of your body and just making sure you're ready to play.
You talked last week about the fumble he gave up. He called it a dumb play, and talking about some of his decisions. Where would you gauge where he's at after that first game? I know he wants a few of those plays back, but
I think you always want to take plays back. As a quarterback, really any player, throughout our game on Friday, and so you learn through your mistakes. It's just things that we always talk about. The two things are managing the game at quarterback and making great decisions. And so I think he'll keep moving forward every game, and really he's going to improve every game.
Brad, I'm sorry, I apologize. What stands out to you on film about Arizona State?
I think you see, just speaking about their defense, is just so active, very good team speed, play a lot of different people. Structurally, it's different than what we've seen with 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and really you could say 5 defensive backs if that's how you look at it, structure-wise. So it presents a little different picture. But you like how they played, and they played hard and got after the quarterback.
What's the challenge of a team that, really only has one game under its belt for a new program? That you don't know what you're going to see next, right?
Yeah, the one advantage this week is we actually see the guys we're playing, and so that's always hard going into game one. You see maybe structure, but maybe not the guy that's actually going to be starting at the field linebacker, and so you're seeing the people play that you're going to play against. Obviously, we're sort of new to them too. We haven't played each other for, obviously, it's been a very long time if we ever have, and so it's a new organization with them, so you don't know if they showed it all in the first game and with the score maybe didn't have to, so you just got to be ready for anything.
You guys as coaches kind of watching and observing that different philosophy that they're trying to put in place with like CEO trickle down? Like is that kind of a talk about in the coaching world?
You read about it in the off season, but nothing really we've talked about, I guess, as a staff.
The way Lewerke hooked up with Felton Davis, we've seen them do that last year, but in this game it seemed like Lewerke was thrown where the defender wasn't a couple of times, and maybe throwing it when the defender's back was turned for even an instant for a touchdown. Is that something that has blossomed since they've grown together? Is that something that they're taking more advantage of it in that game? They needed to take advantage of it, but they were good at it last year, but has it gone to another level in terms of throwing to the grass side of a defender or something like that?
As you get more comfort, with each other as a receiver and a quarterback. But I think that's the one thing Brian's been really good at is locating the football, putting it in a position that he can at least get his receiver to, work away from a defender. Obviously, Felton's a big body, does a great job as far as positioning himself, but I think that's time spent together, and it shows off, on a Saturday.
And Felton knows that it might not be a back shoulder, but it might just be wherever. So when he turns around, he's ready that it might be a difficult catch for him, but he knows that Lewerke might challenge him and put it in a position like that. So is that something that makes your offense better than it was maybe last November even?
I think as you grow as a quarterback, you learn how to throw people open. I mean, it'll be a completed pass, but are you throwing to – I mean, eventually you get to this point where you're picky on your location. You may complete a ball, but as guys go through their process as a quarterback, they're, maybe not happy because they didn't put it on the proper shoulder. And so I think that's where accuracy just continues to grow through time.
Where did you was there a point during Brian's time here where you saw that it factor that Coach D talks about with him?
I think with each quarterback, you sort of sense it within their first year. Maybe their first live snaps in a scrimmage, or what you want to see is most guys, obviously, that come here are going to be, talented and gifted physically, but what you learn when you spend time with them or you see them perform is sort of their demeanor and their confidence, and do you make the other people around you better? And you feel like he had that really at the end of his first year. You could see it, and obviously going into his second year, he did.
We talked to Coach D and a couple of players about this yesterday, but the advantage is everyone wants a 50-0 win in the first game, but you guys kept all the goodies, all the new things in the cookbook, and nobody's seen them yet. How beneficial is that when you don't have to pull those out early and can save them for later in the year?
Well, I think every game you go into, you're trying to win, so you're going to have the stuff in there that you need to. You're going to show some things first games, but obviously it's minimal plays with 75, and so you got to a lot of different things offensively, but each week you grow your game plan and add different things you've been working on through the spring and through fall camp, and just kind of grow through the process.
Phoenix is your area for recruiting, right?
Yeah.
It was your older brother that first ran into Brian, right? Your older brother, Tim, right? Isn't this the
Wade is
story?
my other brother that ran
But it was
into him.
was it older?
Older brother, yeah.
It's Wade?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm thinking it's Tim. But so he was there like coaching with like a leadership
Yeah,
clinic.
he works with character coaching,
Okay.
so he does some stuff in Phoenix and really all over the country, but he works with his high school,
Yeah.
so he had run into him, and I just remember back when his dad might have called December. I remember I was in Chicago going to Matt Morrissey's high
Yeah.
school, and I just remember a phone call from Arizona and answer it, and we at the time did not have we had a quarterback at the time, and then so he didn't know. I said, hey, the process is always fluid, it's never changing, and all of a sudden a couple weeks later we're saying we need a quarterback, and so
Kind of funny how
very
things work
fortunate
out.
how things work out. So
And I mean, you played 2 years at NAU?
at Northern Arizona,
Is that, I mean, is that temperature similar to? what you
that's
see?
more Denver mountains.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if I didn't know how far away it was, but with Brian and Tyler, that's especially in the shotgun, how have they tried to work with it? It seems like they've kind of found a rhythm where Brian wants the ball, where Tyler's snapping it to. And what more do you want to see out of that?
I mean, really, it's just comfort. Obviously, Tyler getting moved to a different position, he's done a great job as far as just the feel and the command of center and snapping, and it's just unique that they're two roommates, so obviously they get along, but they kind of have their, fights at times too.
How does that work for you guys as coaches? I mean, is that Mark's job, or is it your job when it comes to the shotgun snap? Or do they just work it out between the two players?
Yeah, it's both of us. It's a process. It's not as easy as you think. I mean, the first step of a center and trying to get on and seeing fronts and making calls, and so there's a lot of art to just being a shotgun snapper in the center.
On the pick six, the receiver slipped on his way back. If he hadn't slipped, would it still been like maybe a pass breakup? Was the safety still breaking on time? What happens if he doesn't slip?
It could have been. I think, just like Brian and I both felt, just need to be thrown a little further outside. Proper read, but timing and things, it's just everybody's got to execute.
You want your quarterback to be calm, cool under pressure. Sometimes you say, Brian, you need a little more fire out of you. I mean, yesterday I said, "Are you excited about going home?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm really excited." I'm like, "You sure?"
I will say this, it is in him.
Yeah.
It is in him. And we see it, at practice, you see it during a game. But I do think through the, flows of a game, you see an interception, he comes off, and that's not going to change him. I mean, being down at the end of the game, knowing we have to score to win, he just has command and calmness, and I think you like that within your leader, but you also have to have the fire, which he has, and that's displayed itself, quite a bit with us, because he's very competitive.
Has
very
that steadiness always been there for him, or is it something he's kind of grown into?
No, I think that's his nature and personality and sort of how he came in with us.
Brad, Utah State was flagged for delay of game, barking out signals on the defensive side of the ball. Michigan State had a couple of false starts, one near the goal line and one on a 3rd-2. Was there barking going on in those, or was that not a problem?
It's always a possibility.
Always a possibility. That's what I figured. That's why
Some
I asked.
teams do it, some don't. So
Back to Brian, I mean, their draft boards that are starting to come out that are putting him in top 10. I guess as a coach, I mean, you've dealt with that at players in a lot of different positions. How do you minimize the distraction of that? And is Brian the type of guy that would even care or be fazed by that?
he probably wouldn't even know. Yeah, I mean, he's more about the task of this week, this season. He doesn't look far ahead. I think he's excited to just grow as a quarterback and go through the process. And really, you let the process take care of itself, but you need to play good football week in, week out, and take care of this team.
Are you guys going out a day earlier than usual like you did for Oregon, or the same type of road trip schedule?
Same road trip, leaving on Friday.
Anything else for Coach?
Thanks, Brad.